Hey everybody, this is RJ Bond, and wanted to give you a quick update on the Assassination Project Part 3. A bit of bad news, but it's actually good news. We caught a pretty major break in the case, and because of that I negotiated with the distributor to push the release date back another 30 days. So the DVD will be coming out, actually the VOD will be coming out on December 9th. That's the new release date, is December 9th. And I know it's disappointing to some of you. I know you've been looking forward to it, and darn it, I've been looking forward to showing it to you as well. So it's coming off as kind of a disappointment for me, but you're gonna love the new stuff we're putting in there. We caught a pretty major break. So we just wanted to make sure that we got it in there because of, like always, we want to keep you up to date with the latest. So that's it. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We're sorry that we couldn't make that date. We hate to disappoint the fans, but trust me, on December 9th, it's going to be all worth it. We'll see you soon.
This is a Jmix exclusive.
Okay, we were talking about the letter and the leak of the letter. The LA, somehow you took the letter to the heads of the Los Angeles Police Department and it got online. You bring up Darren Dupree. What is Darren Dupree's relationship to Greg Cade?
Well, they were partners. Darren Dupree was all over Greg Kading's murder rap book, and you'd think the two, took showers together. He was spoken so well of. I look at Dupree's being suspended for accessing people's information on the LAPD computer systems that he wasn't supposed to be accessing, and getting suspended for that. I would have thought that would have been an immediate probable cause to believe that he could have done something like taken a piece of information that was given to the LAPD in confidence and turned around and either gave it to Anton Beatty or gave it to Greg Kading or gave it to someone else who gave it to them. So however it was, there was only 4 people in that room. There was Kirk Albanese, there was another 2 captains, LAPD captains, and then there was Darren Dupree. So there were 4 people from the LAPD, and Russell and myself. They were the only ones who got that document, got that information, and that was, I think McCarthy was the other one. But they were the only ones who had it. And why McCarthy and Albanese, who I communicated with via email much later afterwards, they had no reason to leak the letter. They wouldn't have even authorized the letter to be leaked. There was no reason for it. There was only one person on the planet who had a reason to leak that letter, who had a motive for leaking that letter, and that's Dupree. Because Dupree is supposed to be the guy that's siding along with Greg Kading in their whole nonsense about Orlando Anderson having committed the killing of Tupac Shakur, and Keith Davis and being involved with Suge Knight killing Biggie Smalls. They have a vested interest in seeing anything that might distract or detour from their theory, seeing that flushed down the toilet. So Darren Dupree's got motive written all over the place, and since he had already committed an act that he got suspended for 30 days from the LAPD, which was illegally accessing people's information, one would believe that he would be the first go-to guy, and he was, until they suspended the investigation and they wouldn't issue any search warrants.
Now, Greg Kading came out and said that the claims that were made in the letter were investigated years ago and disproven. To you, is that statement accurate?
Investigated by who? No. Nobody looked at that letter. That letter came from Chris Blatchford. Chris Blatchford hadn't taken that letter out in years. And even back in 1998, that letter hadn't been vetted by anybody. Number one. Number two, I have in my possession a letter that was written by Greg Kading to Robert Soria expressing interest in his involvement with the writing of the letter, and that was actually written after the letter was leaked. So, why, if you didn't believe something to be true, and if you didn't think there was any merit to it, or you think it was just another person with some cockamamie theory that was a prisoner, Why would you write a letter saying that you're intrigued by the letter, you're intrigued by the idea of the letter and the information that Robert Soria had? You know, and of course I came to find out later, I've got letters that he sent to Wayman Anderson, I've got letters that he sent to Kenny Boagney, I've got letters. All these guys gave me copies of the letters that Greg Kading sent. I mean, there's no question about the fact that they have been very, you know, forthcoming with the fact that he's been reaching out to them. So what that just tells me is, that tells me that either he's going to try to somehow discredit people that are prisoners sitting in prison, or he actually doesn't believe that he's closed the case and he is interested in where these leads go, which, quite honestly, I would commend him more for if he did.
Do you stand by Robert Soria and some of the statements made in the letter?
I don't know Robert Soria. I don't know him. I know that Robert Soria was a confidential informant for Chris Blatchford, who gave him reliable, good news or good information, and he was somebody that could be trusted to provide information at the time. Did Robert Soria commit the crimes that he's accused of committing, or that he was convicted of committing, that he's sitting in jail for? I can't speak to that. I have my own theories about it, but I can't speak to that. However, even if you're a child molester, even if you're a pedophile, there were a lot of priests that were pedophiles. It doesn't mean necessarily that they're not credible witnesses and are not capable of telling the truth. It also doesn't mean that they don't have information about crimes being committed. So just because somebody is a convicted criminal or an accused criminal, it doesn't automatically mean that the information that they are providing is invalid. Now, to that end, Robert Soria did not provide a lot of information. Well, you have to go back and remember, Soria was the mailman. He was just bringing the mail. You don't beat up the mailman because your electric bill isn't the way you like it to be. So to sit there and say, you know, do you believe Soria is credible? It really doesn't matter if Soria is credible. What's credible is the information in the letter. Is the information in the letter credible? Not is Robert Soria credible. He just got tied up because he was the one who managed to hook the Pattons up with Chris Blatchford.
Now, a while back there was a buzz created because you posted, or someone posted, a picture of you and Keith Davis. Did you speak to Keith Davis? And what did Keith Davis have to say about the situation?
Well, I liked the caption that Kading put underneath it. It said, "Oh, great, R.J. Bond together with Tupac's killer," which I think is pretty funny if he really truly believes that. I met with Keith Davis after having written several correspondences with him. We met at an IHOP in Corona, California, and for breakfast, and we had set it up long before he got out, and I was going to be one of the first people that he talked to. And we did talk about things. We talked about the taping of his quote-unquote confession. We talked about his being on probation. We talked about his involvement with starting up, being around for Death Row Records and all that. And it was interesting. Yeah, I did talk with him. We had a great interview.
This is a Jmix exclusive.
What up, who shut up?